Hi. I'm about to do the prep process that I've been working with since January. It's 2 parts. It's from a woman-owned company called Natural Earth Paint, and it's their Eco Gesso kit. I always say that wrong. That's one of those things that if I went to art school, I probably would say right, but because I didn't, I don't. So gesso, I don't know. I know how to use it. That's what matters. This gesso from Natural Earth Paints is plastic free, archival, and it's actually based on the recipe they use is based on one that was used by the old masters during the Renaissance. So I took the leap. My baby turned 18 months in January, and I thought, okay, this is the year when I want to oil paint. And oil paints were one of the first things that I bought when I first got back into making art regularly, and they're the thing I've used, the art supply I've used the least, because my getting back into making art regularly coincided with my having kids, and oil paints, as you know, can be very, very much like a undertaking, painting in oils, because you have so much setup, so much takedown, so much drying time, not very portable. And I've been finding ways around those issues and felt that because my baby's 18 months, this is something I could tackle. So in January, I mixed up the plant-based adhesive, which is the first component. And I'm not going to give you directions for all that because it comes with the package if you decide to go down this route. And so you apply this adhesive as a first layer on your paper, or canvas or whatever you're using. And I have been using paper because, for a couple of reasons. Paper feels low stakes. I have watercolor paper already. I even have oil paper already. So I've been playing around with which papers I like best, and what they tolerate, in terms of being like taped down for a while, or how many layers of paint, how much does it need, each individual paper seemed to need, in terms of layers of adhesive and gesso. So anyway, what you do in any case is when you're preparing a paper, you apply the adhesive first, and if you don't contaminate the adhesive, it should last for a year from when it was mixed. So I have a year from January to use all this, and we'll see if I do. I'm not feeling like a ton of pressure to use it before then. It's been so fun to paint in this way that it may happen. But yeah, it's also not a super expensive product. I haven't bought traditional gesso, so I don't know the price comparison. That isn't very important to me because it is so important to me to find ways to make things that aren't contributing to environmental degradation and lack of safe living circumstances for people and non-human animals. That the price, obviously I can't do hugely expensive things, but the cost of something is something I can accept if I really love using it and it doesn't have those horrible environmental impacts. So I just finished the first step of prepping these papers. So I've got Stonehenge watercolor paper, Stonehenge oil paper, and then this is a Strathmore 500 watercolor paper sheet. And I did want to show you this as well because this is a paper that I had prepped before going to Joshua Tree with this method. And I actually, even though I brought the drying oils, I didn't end up using them on this prepped paper on site. What I ended up doing on the prepped paper was painting in watercolor to get some of the colors down. And this is such an easy way to work rather than having to thin an oil paint. And I've been watching some videos about other people other painters who actually use watercolor as an underpainting method as well, especially if you're not worried about keeping any of that underpainting exposed, which could cause some problems with later restoration if you end up being somebody whose work gets taken that seriously. If you're not concerned about that, especially if you cover all the underpainting up, there's really no issue with it that I've learned about so far. So I just want to share that with you. Here's my prepped papers. It takes 24 hours to dry, and then tomorrow I will show you adding this, the gesso. See, I really don't know how to say it.
I'm not good with the dinks either, but I'm.
So here you can see me applying the second layer, which is the gesso. And something I didn't mention about the adhesive is that you don't just have to use it as the underlayer when you're preparing papers or other substrates, but you can also use it as a collage glue, and I'm sure there are other uses for it as well. As the name implies, it's an adhesive. So when I'm applying the adhesive first layer and this gesso second layer, I'm really focused on trying to get even coverage. And you'll see that I'm really working the brush into the surface of the paper because I don't want to have any spots that are not adequately covered or protected when I apply the paint. And now you can see I held up a little piece of sanding paper. It's just the kind you can buy to sharpen charcoal pencils or things like that. And here I am outside enjoying the sun and sanding my papers. You have to do this last step just so that your paper has some grip and the layer isn't too thick. You only do it once it's fully dry. I know this might seem like a pretty in-depth process, but for me, I've really enjoyed the steps involved of preparing my papers. It makes me thoughtful about what size paper I'd like to take out, what I'd like to do on that paper. And I've really, really taken to this multi-step, multi-day process. It's gotten me kind of on a rhythm with prepping papers and painting and prepping papers and painting. And it really doesn't take too long each individual step. You just have to account for the drying time. Thank you so much for watching this week. I'll see you in 2 weeks.